Have you ever looked at your baby and wondered if everything's on track? It's easy to assume that your little one is just fine, especially when they're growing and reaching milestones at their own pace. But what if some subtle signs, ones that many parents miss, could actually be telling you that something's not quite right? These signs might be tiny, so small in fact, that they could easily slip under the radar. But those early red flags can make all the difference in how your child's future unfolds. Catching them early could help your baby get the support they need before issues become bigger challenges down the road. The truth is, you don't have to be an expert to spot them. You just need to know what to look for. Stick with me, because today we're going to explore those hidden clues that could change everything for your baby's development. Hi there, I'm Emily, and welcome to Parenting Beyond Labels. If you're a parent or expecting a little one soon, you know that the journey of raising a child can be full of surprises. Some wonderful, some challenging. It's not always easy to know what to expect as your baby grows and develops. That's where we come in. Our goal here is to help you navigate the ups and downs of parenting with solid advice, expert tips, and a whole lot of support along the way. Today, we're going to talk about something that often gets overlooked, but can have a huge impact on your child's future development: subtle developmental red flags. These are signs that many parents miss until it's almost too late. And that's exactly why I'm making this video. It's not about causing unnecessary worry, but about helping you become more aware of your baby's needs so you can take action early, before small challenges turn into bigger ones. Throughout this video, we'll take a close look at 5 of these red flags. We'll break down what they look like, why they matter, and most importantly, what you can do if you notice any of these signs in your own baby. This isn't about pointing fingers. It's about giving you the tools and knowledge to be the best advocate for your child's health and well-being. So stick with me through this video. You'll hear stories, examples, and practical advice that could make a world of difference for your child's development. And trust me, it's easier than you think to spot these early signs if you know what to look for. By the end of this video, you'll feel more confident and empowered to support your little one as they grow, develop, and thrive. One of the earliest and most important milestones in your baby's development is their ability to make eye contact. This may seem like a small thing, but it actually plays a huge role in how your baby connects with you, learns to regulate emotions, and starts to understand the world around them. If your baby seems to avoid eye contact consistently or has trouble holding your gaze, it could be a red flag that something isn't quite right. Eye contact usually starts to develop between 6 to 8 weeks. By this time, babies should be able to lock eyes with their caregivers, and this is an important part of bonding. It's also a key building block for social development. So if you're noticing that your baby isn't making eye contact as expected, it's worth taking note. A lack of eye contact can sometimes be a sign of sensory processing delays, which could impact how your baby experiences the world. But more importantly, it can be a subtle indicator of something like autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Early signs of autism can be difficult to spot, especially in babies who are so young. But one of the early warning signs can be challenges with social communication, like avoiding eye contact. Take Sarah and her 4-month-old daughter, Lily. Sarah started to feel a little concerned because Lily wasn't making eye contact as often as other babies she had seen. At first, she brushed it off, thinking maybe Lily was just more shy or introverted. But after a while, Sarah decided to seek professional advice. That's when they discovered that Lily was showing early signs of a sensory delay, something they could address with early intervention. The good news is that with the right support, Lily was able to make significant progress, and Sarah felt empowered knowing she had caught it early. If you're concerned about your baby's eye contact, you can encourage it gently by making a game out of it. Try holding their gaze while you smile, or use soft sounds to grab their attention. You can also engage them with playful activities, like showing them their reflection in a mirror. If you continue to notice that your baby isn't making eye contact consistently or seems to avoid it altogether, it's important to reach out to your pediatrician or a developmental specialist. Early intervention can be so helpful in addressing these types of delays. Another major milestone for your baby's development is babbling. Babbling, those adorable repetitive sounds babies make as they begin to explore their voices, is the first step towards speech development. It's usually one of the first signs that your baby is starting to understand language and communication. Around 4 to 6 months, most babies will begin making simple consonant sounds like baba or dada. These repetitive sounds are actually the foundation for words and language later on. So if your baby isn't babbling by the time they reach 6 months, or if they've been babbling but it starts to trail off, it could be an early warning sign that there's a delay in their communication development. Babbling is important because it shows your baby is learning to use their vocal cords, mouth, and tongue to make sounds. It's a building block for language development. And if your baby isn't babbling by 6 months, it could indicate a speech delay or even issues like hearing problems. The inability to hear properly can obviously affect your baby's ability to make sounds. So it's a critical milestone to keep an eye on. Take Jake and Emma, who were parents to an 8-month-old son, Max. While their friends' babies were already babbling away, Max remained quiet, not making any of the expected sounds. They initially thought it might just be part of his unique rhythm, but as time passed, they started to get worried. After a hearing test, they discovered that Max had mild hearing loss, something that was hindering his ability to babble and, eventually, to speak. Thankfully, they caught it early, and Max started using hearing aids that allowed him to hear better and began babbling at a more typical age. If you haven't heard your baby babbling by 6 months, try engaging them in talking activities like cooing, making fun sounds, and mimicking any sounds they make. You can also try singing or talking to them constantly, as babies love to hear your voice and will often try to imitate you. If there's no progress, or your baby isn't responding to sounds around them by 9 months, it might be time to consult a pediatrician and have your baby's hearing tested. Addressing hearing problems early on can make a big difference in language development. Motor skills are crucial in your baby's development, as they are the foundation for physical independence and coordination. If you notice that your baby isn't reaching certain motor milestones by the expected age, it could be an early indicator of a developmental issue. Motor milestones typically include things like rolling over, sitting up, crawling, and walking. Babies usually roll over by about 6 months, sit unsupported by around 9 months, and start crawling by 12 months. If your baby is significantly behind in these milestones, it's important to keep track of their progress and seek advice from a professional. Motor skills development is tied to neurological and muscular growth. If there are delays in reaching these milestones, it could indicate issues with muscle tone, coordination, or even neurological conditions. Early intervention can be critical for helping your baby develop the strength, balance, and coordination they need to thrive. Megan started to notice that her son, Ethan, wasn't hitting his motor milestones. At 10 months, Ethan still hadn't rolled over, and that made Megan a little concerned. She knew that babies usually hit these milestones on time, but Ethan was lagging behind. After an evaluation, they discovered that Ethan had low muscle tone, a condition that could have led to further delays in motor skills if not addressed. Thankfully, with early physical therapy and consistent exercises, Ethan was able to catch up with his peers. Encourage tummy time from an early age, even if your baby protests at first, Tummy time helps build the muscles they need for rolling, sitting, and crawling. You can also create safe spaces for them to explore and play, which can help strengthen those muscles. If you notice that your baby is significantly behind on motor milestones, it's a good idea to seek an evaluation from a pediatrician or physical therapist. Babies are still learning how to process the world around them, and some can be either overly sensitive or completely under-responsive to stimuli like sounds, textures, and light. This could be an early sign of a sensory processing disorder or even autism spectrum disorder. If your baby seems to be reacting strongly to everyday stimuli, like getting upset by certain fabrics, being overwhelmed by loud noises, or even avoiding certain textures, it could be a red flag. On the other hand, some babies might not react to stimuli at all, showing no interest in their surroundings or having trouble engaging with sensory experiences like playtime or social interactions. Sensory processing issues are often early signs of developmental delays, including autism. The way babies react to their environment can tell you a lot about how they're developing emotionally and neurologically. If you notice your baby being unusually sensitive or unresponsive to things that seem typical for other babies, it's important to keep track and seek guidance. Chris and Lara noticed that their daughter, Sophie, would scream when exposed to certain fabrics, even though they were soft and gentle. She also seemed to get anxious around loud noises, even things like the vacuum cleaner or a doorbell. After a visit to a pediatrician, they discovered that Sophie was dealing with sensory processing issues, which could be addressed through therapy. With the right support, Sophie was able to become more adaptable to different sensory experiences. If you notice that your baby is either overly sensitive or under-responsive to certain sounds, textures, or sights, keep track of these moments. Try to gently expose your baby to different textures and sounds in a controlled, positive way, but don't force them. If these issues seem to persist or worsen, consider discussing them with a pediatrician or a specialist who can help assess your baby's sensory processing abilities. The first social smile is one of the most heartwarming milestones for any parent. By around 6 to 8 weeks, babies typically start to respond to their caregivers with a smile. And that's when the emotional bonding process really begins. A social smile is a sign that your baby is beginning to recognize and engage with you emotionally. A lack of social smiling or engagement might not seem like a big deal at first, but it can be an early indicator of social or emotional delays. These delays can be linked to developmental disorders like autism, where social engagement is often a challenge. Early intervention is key here too, as the earlier you start supporting your baby's social development, the better their chances of catching up. Anna was concerned when her baby, Emma, wasn't smiling socially at 6 weeks. And by 3 months, there was still no sign of a social smile. After seeking professional advice, they learned that Emma had autism spectrum disorder. With early intervention and therapy, Anna and her family were able to help Emma develop the skills she needed to engage socially and emotionally. If your baby isn't smiling or responding to you by 3 months, try engaging them with interactive games, such as making silly faces or playing peekaboo. Babies learn a lot from these social interactions, and sometimes it just takes a little nudge to get them to engage. If you continue to notice a lack of social smiling or engagement, it might be worth seeking a professional evaluation to rule out any underlying issues. I would love you to check out this book titled Autism Positive Parenting by Sharon Davin on Amazon, and other recommended books with the link in the description. As we go through these developmental red flags, I want to make sure this isn't just about me talking to you, but about starting a real conversation. Parenting can feel isolating at times, and sometimes you wonder if you're the only one facing certain challenges. But the truth is, we're all in this together, and your experiences might just help another parent who's going through the same thing. So don't be shy. Share your thoughts, stories, and questions in the comments below. Throughout this video, I'll be checking in with you. So don't hesitate to pause the video and drop a comment whenever something resonates with you. Even if you're watching this video on your phone or tablet, taking a moment to share your experiences can be really valuable. It's always great to know you're not alone in this journey. Plus, I'll be in the comments replying to your stories and questions, so we can keep this conversation going. So let's take a moment to recap everything we've covered today. We've gone over 5 subtle developmental red flags that many parents might miss until it's almost too late. First, we talked about delayed or inconsistent eye contact. If your baby isn't making eye contact as expected, it could be a sign of something that needs attention, like a sensory processing delay or even autism. Next, we discussed the importance of babbling. When babies start making repetitive sounds, it's their first step toward language development. If your little one isn't babbling by 6 months, it could be a sign that something's slowing down their communication skills. Then, we covered motor milestones. Things like rolling over, sitting unsupported, or crawling are key milestones in your baby's development. If your baby isn't hitting these milestones when expected, it's important to seek advice. Sometimes, delays in motor skills can point to muscular or neurological issues, but early intervention can make a big difference. We also looked at sensory sensitivity, whether it's being overly sensitive to light, sounds, or textures, or perhaps not responding to these things at all. Sensory issues can be an early sign of autism or other developmental concerns, so it's worth keeping track of how your baby reacts to their surroundings. Finally, we touched on the lack of social smiling or engagement. If your baby isn't offering social smiles by 3 months, it could indicate emotional or social development delays. But if you notice this early, the right support can help your baby build these important connections. The most important thing to remember here is that early intervention is key. By addressing these subtle red flags as soon as you notice them, you give your baby the best chance for a bright, healthy future. If you found this video helpful, please take a second to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel grow and reach more parents who are navigating the same journey. And if you want to stay updated with more helpful tips, advice, and insights on parenting and child development, make sure to subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, you'll get notified every time we post a new video. And trust me, there's a lot more valuable content on the way that you won't want to miss. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.